Good evening, YouTube family. We are so excited to be back with you again this weekend. Welcome to another Sunday evening session with Brian and Janice. It has been a pleasure to see the number of people that are joining in with us on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. We're grateful for that. Soon we will be going on to TikTok as well. And hopefully some of you will be joining us on that site as well. Share our videos with as many people as you can. We look forward to sharing more information about our African American and our Black people. We want to again tell those that did not watch our session last weekend that it was a very opening session, a very highlighted session. And I got a lot of feedback from that session, Brian and I did. What I would like to say is that what we say on our platform is not intended to offend anyone. It is strictly facts. It is only those things that Brian has so diligently researched and found factual information on everything that we are sharing with you. And please feel free at any time to fact check us. We don't mind. But again, if we offended anyone or any situation that touched you or offended you in any way, we do apologize for that. But in other words, you can go back and do the research. We'll be more than happy to share our sightings with you so that you yourselves can get the actual facts on anything that we've said on our show. And without further ado, let me get started with today's show. Brian, bring it on.
Well, good evening, Facebook family. Good evening, YouTube family. I'm not as nice as Janice. I don't pretend to be. I'm not going to try to be. That is her purview, her wheelhouse. I believe in telling the people the truth. And you let the chips fall where they're made. And having said that, I do believe that what we are doing makes a difference. If people do not know, then people can't react. You know, most reactions come forward and come to you after truth kind of slaps you in the face. And listen, everything that we're saying, we don't say anything to belittle anybody. Now, I will make that very clear.
Let's clear that up.
Okay, it's not to belittle anyone. Believe me, I get just as upset when people talk about my hometown, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Yeah, it's now. What are you going to do about it? You know, what difference are you going to make in your hometown? And I think that is not only your hometown, but wherever you may reside at now. You have to get involved. You have to be a part of the community. The community that I stay in, I've been a staple in for, over 20 years now. Coached over 10 years with YMCA. I can run down a resume to you that as long as my arm, had a nonprofit organization, which still have today. So, but yeah, that's just a testament of getting involved. That's all. You know, you all already know how I feel about nonprofits in its origin. And that is only limited when it comes to helping our people. But believe me, you know, when there are good things that's going on, we highlight those as well. That's part of having a show to bring information to people that they may not necessarily get in today's media. That's what content creators do. And then you have to also realize that propaganda networks are not going to give you the full truth. They're going to tell you what they want you to hear. Most of your legislative figures today, they are not truth tellers. They are political demagogues. And we have to realize that. We have to understand that politicians today are very different from the politicians of the past. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Just share some history with you today, as I always do. But don't get offended when truth is what it is. Get frustrated to the point to where it makes you go out and agitate, advocate, stir the pot up, expose people, expose some dirty things that are going on within the city. That is how you're going to get things done. It is not by capitulating to what is being said and the lies that are being told that makes you feel good. So, having said, I just want to clarify my position because I am a warrior for the people. I make no bones about that. And it doesn't matter what city you are in. If you're for black people and you love black people, you love black people. And that's just how simple that is. And I think the unfortunate thing is, it's sad when an outside entity, but God has always used outside entities to expose the truth as it relates to what's going on the inside. So sometimes we need that, brothers and sisters. So again, you all know me, those that understand me, those that love me. You don't hold that against me. You know that this is who Brian is. And I'm not going to change as it relates to trying to help better my people and looking at the condition of my people, looking at the state of politics, looking at what the current politician does, and regardless of what city it is in, when they are not doing what's best for the people, I'm going to call those things out.
Brian, it's very difficult in these uncertain times that we're in for people that live in underserved communities to get out and make a difference.
It's not difficult. It just takes a made-up mind. That's all. It's not difficult at all. If you got feet, hands, and a voice, you can make a difference. See,
but most times you're out there on your own.
Well, that's fine. Malcolm went on his own. Martin went on his own at times. Jesus went on his own. So, we don't use those type of excuses. When Marcus Garvey started building, he started building by himself. I could go down the list. It's long. So, the thing is, black people want to make excuses for why they cannot do something or why something is not happening. And then we want to say, oh, when someone points this out, that that person is being, that person is being a person that is not friendly, or that person is not. No, that has nothing to do with it. When you care about community, it extends beyond just your circle. Okay, so community involves all of us. We have to stop isolating community to certain groups of people. If you're not from our city, if you didn't come up in a particular clique or group, then you don't have the right to say something. That's a lie. Then that's not true, and it should not be that way. If you care about your people, the community at large encompasses more than just your circle. Entails more than just your circle. It goes outside of your circle. Okay? And thank God for that. Because if men from outside of Alabama had not got involved, there would have been no civil rights movement. If men outside of the circle had not got involved, there would have been no other movements that we could point to that were significant in history. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to continue to agitate. I'm going to continue to point out things in Selma. I'm going to continue now. I will take my hat off. The mayor came out this past week and he proposed an idea that he has. And I will say that is good because an idea is better than no idea at all. Okay? In reference to the garbage. We talked about that on last week. So he proposed that raising the property tax. That's an idea. It's just a proposal. He stated that they're having community meetings. So I applaud the mayor for having an idea. Now, if I had a word of advice, I would tell the mayor, it is a bad idea. You do not raise property taxes on an area that is already depressed. Okay? So now, in Selma, Alabama, the average house sells for between $170,000 and $176,000. That is the average house. the assessed tax rate for the state of Alabama is 10%. So if you multiply that times 176, that's going to give you $17,600. Okay, the millage rate in Selma, Alabama is 0.27%. When you multiply that times $17,600, you get roughly about $459 as far as a property tax rate. That is the average property tax rate right now. You don't need to raise that. Now, if I was advising the mayor, I would tell the mayor to look at the $21 million that you got for infrastructure improvement. Have the attorney to look at the definition as it relates to infrastructure. So let me give that to you real quick. Infrastructure, it applies to anything that relates to the well-being of the community. So we normally label infrastructure as things like roads, bridges, okay, the water system, which Selma has had concurrent problems with all this year. That's been in the news. One problem after another. Water pipes bursting, water pressure low. That's in the news. That's not something that Brian is just haphazardly throwing out there. All right, so if you look at the definition of infrastructure, it refers to the well-being of the community. $21 million you receive for infrastructure. Part of the trash falls up under that purview. Why? Because if trash starts collected in the town, it could cause infestation of rodents. It could cause diseases, which affects people's health. There are a number of things that if you have trash begin to pile up, that it could cause problems as it relates to the well-being and the structure of the community. Yes. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? It could get in the water system. So there's a number of things. So I would encourage the mayor, look at that $21 million that you got and then allocate some funding to the sanitation department to deal with the trash pickup. Where did that $21 million go?
Did it go just to Dallas County?
That $21 million was specifically to Selma as it relates to tornado relief, okay, in reference to the infrastructure that was damaged. Some of the things that fell under there was clearing debris, demolition for old houses. You understand? And you could throw your roads in there. So anything that falls up under that infrastructure. So what am I saying? I'm saying that he can reallocate that money. That could be a proposal. That could be a recommendation. Reallocate a portion of that money, at least to get the sanitation department working again. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of raising property taxes on those that live there. Okay? So when you look at the percentage of ownership in Selma, the percentage of ownership is actually lower than those that rent. So you're going to have a select group of homeowners that are going to absorb the bulk of that property tax. You understand what I'm saying?
But even the people that are in the homes that rent, the owners of the home still have to pay property tax.
That's exactly right. But it's not, the owners of the home may not live there. You understand what I'm saying? So is that fair to them? So what I'm saying is, the idea is good. Some idea is better than no idea. But let's put a B and a C on the table. A B could be, let's reallocate some of this funding, take raising taxes off of the table. You do not need to raise taxes in a depressed area, period, point blank, case closed. That's how I would deal with that. But like I said, I applaud the mayor for throwing an idea out there, taking it to the community. You've got to do something. And I do agree with him. There doesn't need to be another contract sanitation company that comes into Selma and do that work. That work needs to remain within the structure of Selma. And if you have to employ someone, create jobs, the sanitation department, put people to work. You understand what I'm saying? Take some of that money, reallocate it. Okay, so that is what my suggestion would be. Now, let's move on. Also, I want to commend the city council president for thanking Katie Britt, in her collaboration, she reached across the aisle. Her and Terry Sewell worked together and bought $800,000 some odd dollars to Selma to actually revitalize some of the buildings that they stated in the article that are falling in the river. Now,
did I not just say that last week?
You said that last week?
Yeah.
Now, what will I say to that? It was proper for him to thank her, but you don't need to praise her. Because Selma has been, when you do the research, the least funded city as it relates to it's sad when you have to have something happen on the magnitude of a tornado to destroy half of the city in order to get the government's attention. So I still say that the state senators for Dallas County area need to be more proactive in trying to get the attention of the governor and the multiplicity of problems that's going on within Dallas, Perry, Lowndes, all of those counties, Wilcox, all of those counties. You understand? Mm-hmm. Okay. He thanked her. That's a political move. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. It is one of diplomacy.
Yes.
Okay. And it's good to thank, but we're not praising her. Okay. We don't want to build up that she's done this whole great thing, because we have friends and know people whose house costs $800,000. So tell me how much work that's going to get done. That's a drop in the bucket when it comes to the revitalization of those buildings down there. So instead of thanking her was proper, but we're not going to praise her. So now the door is open to say, hey, this is what's really going on. This is what we need. Through Terry. Terry knows what's going on. She's not ignorant of when she goes home and she looks at Selma. She's not ignorant of what's going on, right?
Right.
Okay. So now here's an opportunity as you're developing relationships and networking. You can't be scared. You cannot play diplomacy all the time and expect your condition to change. Now, the city council president said that Selma in 5 years will be much better off, and there's going to be there will not be any improvements when you have drop in the bucket monies coming in. Let's be honest and truthful with the people. Love him, love the city, love the mayor, all that. Yes, let's get all that out the way. This is not personal. For me, this is about how do you progress black people and stop lying to your city and your residents and get proactive and bold enough to say, this is what we need, and we have been overlooked for too long. The residents have been overlooked for too long. You got an aging population that within the next 10 years, probably 1,500 to 2,000 of them may be dead. You understand what I'm saying? You're not replacing anybody. You're not building, you're not creating businesses. You're not dealing with the city problems that are ground floor. So, like I said, this, for me, I'm offering my advice, my expertise. Exactly. It's not my first time working with cities.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay? So, those are the things that you have to deal with. You have to be proactive. Like I said, it's just about having a voice. You understand? The state representative, state senator, we watched a video. We talked about this, where the state senator of Dallas, Perry County petitioned on the House floor, talked about some of the problems as it relates to the water.
Yes, he did.
Okay? We have to applaud that.
Yes, we do.
That at least he brought it up. Where did it go wrong for him? Where it went wrong is not having enough testicular fortitude to say, you all stop walking when I'm talking. And you all need to at least hear my grievance on the floor. They were so so disrespectful.
Yes, they were.
They ignored him. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. What that showed me, outside of him maybe being a freshman senator, that has nothing to do with you owe me respect. And you owe me your ear to hear the grievance of my people that have been suffering over 200 years in this county. You understand what I'm saying? And how you present that, I don't care if you have to swing a chair. And then now you got somebody's attention. You understand what I'm saying?
So you feel that was purposely disrespectful?
It was deliberate. It was deliberate. You know,
because he was making a plea.
Listen,
right?
Yes,
he was making a plea.
And when Europeans do not see you as a vital part of the government, they feel like they have let you in, and that you really shouldn't be a part of it anyway. Now, that's the truth of the matter. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm going to validate that with history. And that is the truth of the matter. When we get in those positions, we act like what they feel. We act like I'm just glad to be here. Man, listen, if you're your own, see, Brian Watts is his own man. There ain't nobody made Brian Watts. You understand what I'm saying? Everything Brian Watts had, he worked for, nobody gave him anything. I didn't dance to nobody's music. I didn't bow down. I didn't paint my face white. You understand what I'm saying? I've remained the same consistently throughout my life because that's the way I was raised. I was raised as a fighter. That's just how I was raised. Everything I got through my nonprofit, I did not pander to Europeans. I let them know the truth. And they gave me trainers, gave me assistance when we were doing food ministries, when we planted churches. You understand what I'm saying, in the city of Montgomery? So these are things, when I worked with Fraser Memorial, First Baptist, I didn't pander. I let them know this is what's going on in our community. This is what I need to effectively help my people. Do you think really that people don't care when you care about your people? Now, they didn't have to do anything. Guess what they said? Brian's got it. Brian is going to do it. And we should not depend on, and I keep saying this, Europeans to do anything for us. And if you're going to be a part of their government, because it is still their government, you are included, you are allowed to be in it, even though they don't want you a part of it, you have to assert yourself. You cannot be a wimp. You cannot have the persona of a weak man that doesn't understand what they're talking about, doesn't understand what it is to be manly and to fight for your people. We have women that are in the Senate that are more courageous than our brothers. And that is a shame. So when I speak with authority. I'm not going to pander down. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not a wimp, like I said. We as black men, our black women and children need to see a manly man and someone that can get some things done when they put their mind to it. They do not need to see a weak, passive man pandering, dancing, chuck dancing, you understand what I'm saying, tap dancing, and trying to promote diplomacy by showing weakness. That is not how you get something done. You understand? There's a time that diplomacy needs to be displayed. There's a time that decorum is proper. But there's another time, in another season, where strength needs to be on display. And it is at this time that strength needs to be on display.
Because we're in need.
Yes, we are in need.
Because we're in desperate need,
yes.
I would say.
Yes.
You know, instead of, at the rate we're going, instead of seeing our black communities in 5 years be better, it looks like we're on the trajectory of being worse. Some of them in complete desolate. I mean, destruction.
You're right.
There won't even be a city. I mean, it's that, I mean, the handwriting is on the wall, Brian. And I think so many times we are afraid to offend people that are in certain positions that can make the sound of noise loud enough to get more done. But because that's my friend, or that's my frat, or that's my soror, I don't want to offend them. I don't want to make ill wills with them. And I know I may go get some backlash on that statement, but it is what it is. When are we going to help our people? Because I've talked to several people just this week that said, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. Well, and listen, just because it's your frat, just it may be your loved one, it may be a close friend or a best friend. Listen, that doesn't stop you from thinking, does it?
No.
Okay. That's how simple that is.
It doesn't stop you from helping.
You have your own mind. It doesn't stop you from thinking. It doesn't stop you from being an individual. You are your own person. See, let me tell you, and you have to understand this. When you talk about collective intelligence have bought into the theory that everybody must think the same in order to do something great. When you look at history, it was those that went against
the grain,
collective intelligence,
yes,
that made the biggest differences. When you look at some of your geniuses, you understand?
Yes.
When you look at a Percy Julian, when you look at some of our black geniuses, a Benjamin Banneker, you understand? When you look at those men, they went against the grain of the collective intelligence. We have to do that today. Our black politicians, Frederick Douglass, went against the grain. You see what I'm saying? William Randolph went against the grain. These abolitionists, you understand? Martin Delany went against the grain. Martin Delany made a statement that said, if the president comes in my house and try to disrupt my house, I will kill the president. This is how bold this brother was. He said, nothing. I don't care who they are. The president can't come in my house and tell me how to run my house. That's a man. You understand what I'm saying? And that is a man that understood his purpose as it relates to his people and his family. See, we have lost sight of that. We're so now, have bought so into everybody having to row the boat the same, that we have forgotten that it's when you row the boat against the grain that you really get attention and that you get things done. You know, it's no need of us jumping in the same boat and the boat about to drive off of the cliff. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I'm not going to get in that boat. And I love my people that are close to me, my frat brothers, my family, my friends, you, but you're not going to change my thinking when I know what works, because I've done it. So when you speak from experience and you're not just talking to be talking, when you have receipts to prove that it works, you understand what I'm saying? Then you can state your case from a position of knowing that if we do this, something will happen. But if we keep doing the same old thing, insanity is what we get. Because that is the definition of insanity. You see what I'm saying? When you do the same thing over and over and over, and that has become a plague for black people. Literally, we have become calcified when it comes to our thinking. We really have. And it is a very unfortunate thing that there are very few free thinkers, true thinkers, critical thinkers. We have been so conditioned in these colleges. We go along to get along. We pander to every tick, duck, Big Tom and Harry that comes along, Sue, Jane, and Mary that sits in our living room. You understand what I'm saying? that we have become calcified in our thinking. We want to still be like them instead of being who we are. See, we have to make a choice as black people because it's this bad. We're getting ready to go into 2025. Nobody escapes 2025. Nobody escapes. And it doesn't matter who gets in there, because I've said this on this show many times. Okay? Two wings, the same bird. A right wing and a left wing, but it's still attached to the same body. And the blood flows through the veins of both of those wings. One works top down, the other one works bottom up, and they meet in the middle. That's why all the chatter is about the middle working class. There is no chatter about the poverty or the poor people that are on the bottom. There is no, we can't even say black people anymore. It's a disgrace and a shame that we have on a national platform, you have candidates that refuse to say, this is what we would do for the black community, but they can say what they would do for every other community, the Hispanic community, the Asian community. They actually name them. The LGBTQIA community. All of these are the native community, but when it comes to black, they will not say the black community.
And why is that, Brian?
It's because they have this inclusive mentality that blacks should be included with the fabric of America. Well, we were never included with the fabric of America. We were always excluded. And until we come to that realization that the politics and the games that are played through politics gets black people very little, we're not going to see our community progress as a whole. And I think we have to seriously start thinking about another way, alternative ways to get the attention of this political machine in this corporation called the United States. Okay? The reason they want to continue to include us, indoctrinate us, assimilate us into the fabric is so that you're not noticeable in the fabric.
That's why they want to work for all people.
That's why the term all people exist. Okay? That is the premise of all people existing. See, at one time, Janice, in 1866, our senators, first black senators in the United States, were bold enough to stand on the House floor and talk about issues of black people, and they were not afraid to say black people. They were not afraid to address those that had been now emancipated, not really freed. You understand? That's two different things. Had been emancipated by a proclamation from the President of the United States, but most of the ratifications of those first civil rights bill did not happen till 3-4 years after the emancipation. See, that's why you have a Juneteenth celebration. But see, Juneteenth, and I pointed this out on another show, Alabama ratified the 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment last through all those states. So really, we shouldn't be just celebrating Texas. You should be celebrating Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia, because all of those states' ratification came 3 to 4 years after the fact. You see what I'm saying? But black people, we get so caught up into our emotions. And I get it. I get it. We have gone through a lot in this country. We have been the most mistreated people, ill-treated people, disenfranchised. We're still being disenfranchised even to this day. If you look at Alabama, every bill just about not Katie Britt, but the governor in the state of Alabama, Kay Ivey, has signed on to, in some way negatively affects black people.
True.
But you got black senators down there want to photo op the optics of them standing. You understand?
Yes.
It sickens me to my core because they pander.
To that.
And we don't need that. We need somebody down there that'll call Kay Ivey out. She's ancient. She's too old to be there. That's number one to start with. She needs to go like Biden had to go. And there needs to be black men to stand up and say, we're not going to accept this. You cannot continue to treat our people this way, and then you give everybody else what they want and look down, and then you sign off on every bill that negatively affects black people. And see, you have to understand, the state of Alabama follows the state of Florida when it comes to bills and laws.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
And
just about every southern state now looks at Florida as an example.
They do.
Okay, so we have to tell our people the truth. That's what this show is about. It's about truth. It ain't about people personality. It's not about that. You understand what I'm saying? It's about telling our people the truth. That is what they need to know. Now, if the truth offends you, that is a great thing. Because that means that you care enough to change something. You understand what I'm saying? So we have got to, brothers and sisters, we got to get it together. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so go ahead and what you going to say.
Oh. You said.
And then I'm going to talk to you about these black senators.
Well, see, and that's what I want to address, Brian. When will is it ever a time that our blacks, I'm going to say our black legislators here in the state of Alabama, do they ever fight for us? There's so much, even in Montgomery right now, the communities are trying to get together and set up their own devices to deal with the crime. They're not able to depend on the police force because due to the lack of police force, the numbers aren't there. And that goes for most of your cities and states now, but specifically Montgomery and Selma. The people can stand up to this, because they're now saying, okay, we see we're not getting the help from the police force. So what we're going to do, we're going to put our own plan in force. This is what the HOA is doing. They're putting their own plans in force to say, we're going to counteract and deal with the crime ourselves. And then we're going to do it the right way when we catch
Well, that is the right way.
But when they catch them, then they present them to law enforcement.
Well, listen, I have nothing. Community policing is a good thing. That's what the Nation of Islam does. Okay, that is one reason that the Nation of Islam has been so successful. In the black projects that they put the FOI in, which is the Fruit of Islam, in, you go and you look at the stats of crime prior to them coming into the community, and then after they were put in the community. It is drastic. It is drastic. So community policing is good. But guess what it takes? It takes men that says, I'll lay my life down for my women and for my children to have an opportunity to grow up and to have a better life. That's what it takes. See, now you have to question the fact, do we have men brave enough to do that? You understand what I'm saying? The police officers, and I applaud our police officers, the ones that are brave enough to be police officers. They put it on the line every day. They stick their uniform on.
Every day.
So I don't have a problem. Now, you have good and bad police, just like you have good and bad and everything else. We have good and bad senators. We have good and bad state representatives. We have good and bad mayors. It's in every sector of life. You understand what I'm saying? Community policing is a great thing if it is done the right way. It can be a bad thing if it is done the wrong way.
Yes.
You understand
Yes,
what I'm
I
saying?
did.
So you have to look at, and we could use the example of the Skittles in the hoodie with, what is his name? The young man that was shot down in Florida. He had the Skittles, he had a drink. Trayvon
Martin.
Is his last name Martin?
I know his first name is Trayvon.
Yes, yeah. So the audience know who we're speaking of. But yes, Trayvon. That is an example of bad community policing. Okay? So you have to have some rules and regulations in place as it relates to the community policing. And let me say this. It also depends on what type of crime you're dealing with. If you're dealing with gang violence in a community, that's a horse of a different color. Then you have to have enough community police to actually be able to go out and confront these acts of violence that are happening. You know, so how do you prevent those things? That's what really you got to do when you think about resolution. You have to look at the root cause, of course. That's the first thing.
Yes.
And then you have to put something in place to deal with, how do you deal with now what it has escalated to? You understand?
Yes.
And it's escalated to, in some communities, gang violence. Based off of what? Okay? So you deal with the root, you deal with where it's at now, and you deal with the maximum, you deal with the escalation. As well. So, yes, I'm for community policing. Regulations, rules put in place, I think it's a good thing. They got to do something to assist the police. You understand? And then you have police also, I think we cannot overlook, that are afraid for their lives.
I get it.
You understand? When they go out and you know, police showing up 1 hour to 2 hours late is for a reason, brothers and sisters. That's because they're scared to go in those areas. They are afraid. So they're not going to be in a rush to get to the black community when the crime rate in that particular community is off the charts. And they're shooting people just like you're walking down the street. You know, it's become a normal way of existence in that community. There's not going to be any police to rush into a situation to where they know they're endangering their lives. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to look at all parameters there when it comes to that and what needs to be done. You still have to work in collaboration with the local law enforcement. And you still should get the local captain, lieutenant, chief, whoever to come and speak to the community and say this is the best way to approach this if you're going to start a community police. Those community police need to be registered handgun carriers. You understand what I'm saying? They need to be on a log at the police department, so if they call, the police response would be greater than what it is if a normal citizen from that community is called. So there's a lot of things that they need to put in place. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that's what I would say about that. But let me just give you these black senators. Okay. Everybody, and most of us know this. In 1872, there was a printed article, by Currier and Ives, which showed the first 7 black Americans elected to the U.S. Congress, which were all Republicans at the time. Now, everybody know this picture is famous, and I know you all can't see it from there, but it's famous. Whenever you see the black senators, this is the picture you're going to see.
The black senators.
Okay, the black senators. That's the picture you're going to see. And like I said, that was printed in 1872 by Currier and Ives. But who were the black senators? You had Hiram Rhodes Revels from Mississippi. Guess what place he took in the Senate?
Who?
Jefferson Davis.
Wow.
The racist Confederate president whose Alabama, Montgomery, capital was his seat. In Montgomery, Alabama was the capital of the Confederate. Okay? So, when we talk about history, Alabama has some history. Okay? I went to Jeff Davis High School.
Jefferson Davis.
Okay? That's exactly right. You understand what I'm saying? Hiram Revels replaced the racist Jefferson Davis. Okay? The first Confederate president and only Confederate president, because there was no other Confederate president after him, but after the Union, we know the Civil War, all things being considered. All right? Now, who was Hiram Revels? He was an ordained minister. He served as a missionary and a pastor. He recruited 3 black regiments and served as a chaplain in the Civil War. This brother was ready to fight. Now, look at Hiram Revels compared to what we got today. Ain't no black senator. I'm talking, and see, when I look at these brothers, you understand? These were men that said, we're going to fight for our liberation. Even then, not knowing that the country they fought for would betray them 10 years later. But it wasn't about fighting for the country.
It's about fighting for their people.
Absolutely. Okay. This man creates 3 black regiments. And not only that, says, I'm going to go to war with the regiments and I'm going to pray over them while they fight. And I got a gun on my side just in case I can't pray no more. You understand what I'm saying? I can do what I need to do and get involved. Okay, let me move on, because this history, that's why I say when people don't know history, okay, you have to understand my frustration. My frustration is because, number one, like I said, I've experienced it, I've done it, I know what works. So you can't just come here and blow smoke up my butt. You understand what I'm saying? I know she I'm embarrassing her, but anyway, you can't blow smoke up my butt. No, and see the whole term. Do you know where that came from? Blowing smoke up your butt?
Where did it come from?
Okay. You need to do the research on this now. You're the medical person. But anyway, let me tell you, I'm going to give you in short where that term comes from. Okay, because I've done the research. The actual term blowing smoke up somebody's butt was a way that doctors in the 17th century would try to revive a person after they had a heart attack. They felt like giving them an enema by blowing smoke, tobacco smoke up their butt would actually restart their heart. Tidbit for you all. And that's where the whole phrase came from, blowing smoke up your butt.
Oh, goodness. I see Lisa.
Okay, so now, tidbit. So that's for, see, listen, you have to study everything. You have to read everything. I love history. I love, finding out those facts like that, researching things like that. But see, I'm not dead, and I don't need any tobacco smoke blowing up my butt. So we need men that will stand up like this brother and say, we're ready. If it means us having to take on the enemy, we're ready. And then I'm going to organize black men to fight for their people. Okay? I'm going to organize black men to take a stand for their people, not be afraid. And then I'm going to get in the trenches with them, and I'm armed as well.
Those men don't exist today, Brian.
They exist.
Where are they?
They exist. I would have to refute you on that and say that, as far as them being on display, like they display some of the intellectuals.
Okay, I got it. I'm sorry.
You understand?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I should have said where I'm not seeing these men.
Yeah.
Where they're not in existence.
You're not seeing them because the media want to present black men today as weak, as sissified, as men that don't love their women and children. They want to show all of our men as homosexuals.
And they're not all like that.
And majority of black men aren't like that. Okay, but they will not show the black man that loves his family, loves his children, loves his grandchildren. You understand what I'm saying? Stands up for his community. Mm-hmm. They don't want to depict that. They want you to see the weak, passive, pandering, dancing to all of the political lingo. They want you to see that type of black man. Okay? But they don't want you to see an intellectual black man that's got it together, that stands for his family, that fights for his family, that's courageous and brave and willing to say what needs to be said when nobody else will say it. They don't want you to see that. Okay? And that is what the European media continues to do. The only time they show black men of aggression, and this is what we don't realize, they show it as it relates to black on black violence. Our black young men killing each other.
Yes.
Acts of aggression from that aspect. You understand?
Yes.
But here is the thing. Those men, a lot of them are fatherless and a lot of them are not men. They're boys. Okay? That the media have labeled men. And notice this. It doesn't matter if our young men are 11, 12, 13 years old. If they commit any form of break a law or violence, the propaganda media of the Europeans will say that that 13-year-old child is a man. They'll call him a man and then call the one that goes and shoot up a whole school that's European, or call them a mentally disabled person that is still a young adult or a child. So you see how the media plays on our psyche. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
We got to stop falling for that. And it's just it's a sad day that we have, like I said, we have succumbed to that type of, labeling as it relates to our people. And men, black men that are intellectuals, that are educated, we have to stop acting like we have a yellow streak running down our back and get a backbone and stand up for our people. You understand what I'm saying? And I label the same thing happening in the churches. It is the same thing. See, when you look across the sphere of what is happening with our community, you see the same thing in the pulpit. You don't see any great pastors that will stand up, that will preach the word with boldness, and that will call out things in the community, call out things that individuals need to improve on, and then teach them and instruct them on this is what you need to do to overcome this in your life, and not waver off of it. Those days are gone. Now everybody just want to preach, see who can preach the best. I talked about that, so I'm not going to get on that soapbox. But from a level of spirituality, that it look like it's going out the door as well. So we got problems in our community that it's going to take hard love to fix. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's going to take hard love. So now that was one. Next, you had Benjamin Turner. Turner was from Alabama. Selma, ties to Selma. Okay? Brilliant. Ex-slave. Okay? 5 years after the war, he became the wealthiest and most prosperous businessman in Alabama. Did it himself. He's an ex-slave. So don't tell me we cannot plant businesses, start businesses. See, everybody talk about Wall Street, but they don't talk about the undergirdings of Wall Street. And they don't talk about that these particular black Wall Streets, Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was Greenfield, it wasn't the only one. You had Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You had right outside of D.C., between D.C. and Maryland. I've said this multiple times. You had Selma that had a black Wall Street at one time.
Yes, we had a black Wall Street.
You understand what I'm saying?
We did.
You had Florida that had a black Wall Street. But what was the undergirdings? These were men that have come out of slavery. These were men that were determined to create something better for their family, and they did it apart from the United States government. They educated themselves and they built their own communities. They didn't wait because the United States government wasn't giving out grants then. Okay? For buildings falling in the river, you wait until the government come and give you an $850,000 grant or $21 million before you start doing anything for your people. That's a weak leadership, in my opinion. And it's across the board in the state of Alabama. You wait on the government to come hand you something. Why don't you have ideas to rally your people, to tell your people as leaders? If you're a true leader, your people will follow you. This is what we need to do. We're going to start a black fund, and we're going to get with the government. We're going to put an FDIC in place to guarantee the money that we fix to start a black bank. Everybody in the city, $5 a month, mandated. See, we don't have black men that come with creative ideas, and people will follow you if you have something that works. If you got 17,000 people, Janice, that would donate $5 a month, do you know how much money you'll have that first year in the bank? You understand what I'm saying?
That's millions.
You got 3.6 million. See, I've done the math. And you're talking about you waiting on somebody to come and clean up the city and do it. Man, see, that's where we have weakness. Black women and children, when they see a black man that exemplifies strength, they follow willingly.
Yes, they do.
I can say that personally.
Yes, you can.
You understand from what I'm saying?
Yes.
From my children to you to your children. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And they know when Brian speaks, that's it. This is what we do because it's proven.
It's going to work.
Now, does that mean I'm a dictator? No. Because I listen very intently. You understand what I'm saying? We need black men that will do that. Listen intently, critically think, and don't wait to better your people. Don't wait on a handout all the time. That's all I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? That people will say, well, Brian criticizing again. No, I'm not. What I'm telling you is that if you don't do something for self, it won't get done.
It won't get done.
That's how simple that is.
It's the truth.
Here is a black man, Janice, out of slavery, ties to Selma, Alabama senator, that starts a business after the Civil War with nothing and become one of the most wealthiest and prosperous businessmen in Selma. Now, you have to read the history of Benjamin Turner because he lost half of that.
Yes, he did.
You understand? When the Southern politicians rose up, again, I'll have to talk about that at another time. Okay, what happened to these first black senators? Okay, but we'll discuss that, like I said, another time. The third black senator was Robert DeLarge of South Carolina, also born as a slave. Within 3 years from the end of the war, he was serving in the State House. He also chaired the Republican Party's platform committee and became a statewide elected official. Just brilliant, okay? The fourth was Josiah Walls of Florida.
Yeah.
Walls was a slave also during the Civil War and was forced to fight, watch this, for the Confederate Army and was taken prisoner by the Union troops, joined the Union troops, and moved up to being a Union officer. From prisoner of war to joining as a enlisted to moving up to being an officer and leading the Union troops. This is a black man now. Okay? I'm just saying. Okay. The fifth senator was Jefferson Long of Georgia. What about Brother Jefferson Long? Born as a slave also. He was self-educated, did not have a degree from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Shout out. Did not have a degree from the University of Alabama or the University of Florida or FAMU. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Self-educated. Georgia. When he was elected to Congress as a Republican, Democrats boycotted his business and caused him to lose a lot of money. Guess what he did? Rebuilt the business. What am I showing you? I'm showing you the tenacity in the spirit of those men to say, you're not going to hold me down. It doesn't matter what you do to me. I'm going to rise again. See, Maya Angelou's poem, We Rise. That's what type of spirit these men had. They were not weak. They were not waiting on anybody. They were not self-deprecating by falling into, every Tom, Dick, like I said, and Harry's plan.
At every whim.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
They were not those type of men.
I get it.
You understand?
Yes.
So the sixth was Joseph Rainey of South Carolina, born a slave as well. Okay? Served briefly as the Speaker of the U.S. House and was in Congress longer than any other black American from his era. Do you know what type of mess he had to endure? Served as the U.S. House, first black to serve as U.S. House Speaker and was in Congress longer than anybody in his era. Can you imagine what that man had to deal with?
He had to deal with a lot. A lot.
Seventh was Robert Brown Elliott, also from South Carolina. Self-educated as well. Taught himself Spanish, French, and Latin. See, in Congress, he led the passage of the Civil Rights Bill, okay, in opposition to all of the Democrats in Congress, voted against his Civil Rights Bill. At this particular time, the Republicans far outnumbered the Democrats. All the Republicans voted for his Civil Rights Bill, and it passed. He later became the Speaker of the House in his state legislature. So I'm going to stop right there. I could go on about the history of these men, okay? But what I want the people to understand, that is what type of men it's going to take in politics these days to get some things done for our people. You understand? Like I said, diplomacy is good. Thanking people is good for doing. When a person do for you, you should thank them. That's common decency and courtesy. Yes. But now, we got the courtesy out the way. What are you going to do for me next? This is what we need. You're actually about 150 to 200 years late. So yes, we thank you for this little bit of this handout. Because it's definitely not a hand up. It's not going to do anything of any significance. You understand what I'm saying? So we need men that will begin to point this out. Most of these people in state senate and on a federal level, even in city government, don't know the history. And see, the sad thing, Janice, is most black senators and representatives do not know African American history. I'm not even going into African history. I'm just talking about African American history. They don't know it. So they don't appreciate the position that they hold. And not only that, they don't understand the significance of the fight that it took in order for them to hold a position. So they're there as pawns.
Well, I think they get comfortable, you know.
Well, I agree. They do get comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's about self-serving interests. Let's be honest. Okay? They're plants. Okay? And they lie and manipulate their way up to the top. That's what they do.
Oh, that's horrible.
Okay?
That's really sad.
But that is what they do. So when you're talking about like I said, what the cost of the position that they have and what was paid for them to hold that position, the blood that was paid. When you look at
so
these
in essence, you're
senators,
saying if you look at those senators and you look at their lives and you do the research and study that, it should be an honor. I would be standing there in their honor trying to pick up the fight where they left off.
You will do something. That is right. That is exactly right. You would appreciate the position more. You will recognize, even though I'm a plant, because I got this position.
But I'm going to make some noise up in here.
But I am going to change some things.
Regardless of what it takes.
Even if you, like I said, if you have to throw a chair in the house, now that's got the whole press.
Oh, yes, it is.
Talking.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep. And they all be around you. Why did you do that?
Let them throw you out. But now I got the reason that I did it, now you can talk to your people because we're too afraid to call a press conference against the government. You understand what I'm saying? See, we've got to get rid of pandering Negroes. They've always been the catalyst to hold us back. They haven't advanced the race. See, that's why W.E. Du Bois, villain or hero, whichever side you choose to put him on. Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, whichever side you put him on. Those men stood for something. W.E. Du Bois left the United States of America.
He did that.
Now, partially the reason that we don't like to talk about this, that he left because he said that the Talent 10th was a disappointment. Carter G. Woodson, okay, which I am the researcher for the Carter G. Woodson Foundation in Montgomery. Carter G. Woodson said also that the talented 10th, the so-called talented 10th, okay, have done nothing. We have been miseducated. We have bought into the institutionalization of the Negro. And instead of us doing what we should do for our people and rallying our people and educating our people, we are falling prey to the institution and we have become part of the problem. This is what Dr. Carter G. Woodson said. You understand what I'm saying? So see, we've got it backwards. And you will not have Negroes that will come out and tell you that because they serve their own interest. You understand? They don't, and I say this all, they don't really care about the people. And they don't really care about themselves because they failed to educate them. These men educated themselves. They failed to educate themselves with their own history to understand the greatness as it relates to the position that they hold. You understand? So, and I look at Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass had no education, formal education.
None.
Self-educated, self-taught.
We visited his home and books everywhere.
This is, like I said, for me, this is what is so frustrating. Those of us that are, fortunate enough to have parents that pushed college.
Oh, yes.
And where we went to college. That's a great thing. But we don't value it because we stop right there with the institutionalization as it relates to what the European indoctrinated into us. Okay? If you do not go further than that indoctrination, you are doing a disservice to your people. If I did nothing else, if I was an Alabama senator, I would study every Alabama senator prior to myself. You understand? I would want to know the first black Alabama senator, what he did on a state level, what he did when he came back after he served in the federal government. All of those things would be of an importance to me so that I would not make some of the same mistakes and so I could capitalize off of the things that were done that advanced our people. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, see, we're only studious with what we've been institutionalized in. But when it comes to really wanting to learn, we don't really want to know. We don't really want to know our history. So that needs to be for the leadership. Now, I'm not talking about the parishioner. You understand? When you got somebody that's just trying to make it, trying to figure out how I'm going to get my next meal.
Yes.
And if I have to rob somebody, that'll be the way that I get the money to feed my children. Though it's hard.
It's hard, very hard.
To teach them. Yes, you understand?
Yes.
So you have to meet them where they are with instructions and help them. But you also have to bring something to the table materially that will assist them as well.
Yes.
Okay? I'm talking about the so-called black educated ones that are in leadership, that aspire to be in politics. See, we've got it wrong. We've chosen politics over people. I said that on the last show.
Yes, you did.
Okay?
Yes, you did.
And that is wrong.
That's
you
wrong.
should not want to go into politics if you really know you can't help your people. Okay? Some of us go knowing we don't have the voice to stand on the floor. We don't have what it takes from a mental standpoint to really debate our point. Some of us accept positions where we understand and we know that we take those positions. We know we're not going to study Alabama politics and look at all of the conniving, the manipulating, the deception. I got a book in there on Alabama politics that I actually showed on one show. Talks about all of the deception that goes with Alabama politics throughout all the years since the creation of the state of Alabama. But we don't want to study. You understand what I'm saying? Those past governments that failed and that was successful, we don't want to study those senators, but yet we take these positions to try to impress people. We take these positions for self-interest, and the people are just stepping stones. You understand what I'm saying? That's all. They're just stepping stones for me to go higher.
But I want your vote.
Okay? Yes. Yes. That's how you get there. You understand what I'm saying? With no intentions
of helping
on doing anything for these people. No intentions on making any real noise. None. And I think it's an unfortunate thing. And until black people, until we make up our mind that the black people that represent, so-called represent us. And let me say this. They're not leaders. They're representatives. Okay? They're really not leaders. Because leaders have a whole different mindset and attitude than a representative. Representatives mostly are self-serving. You understand? Most representatives are self-serving. They're not leaders. And so I have put them in the wrong category. Okay? But representatives, they really use people as stepping stones now. And I call them the Black Caucasians for a reason. Because Frantz Fanon book talks about those that have a black skin but a white mask on.
White face.
You understand? And when you understand the psyche of black people, especially when they feel like they are accomplished, they want everybody to know what they've done. That is a white mask that is placed on them. You understand? We have some serious mental issues in our community, and it starts with the black representative. You understand? So they can't tell black people at the bottom. Most black representatives, only thing they're going to do is what they've been taught by way of the system. Create a nonprofit and just pass out food to the peasants. See? Pass out clothes to the peasants. Don't you start no true educational program where you start educating your children in your community on your history. No, just send them to public school. Create you another charter school. But don't you start no program where you teach strictly African history. You teach African American history. You teach, when it comes to finances, you teach financial literacy among African Americans.
Yes.
You teach them how to navigate through the market as it relates to buying, selling stock, now cryptocurrency. All of those things. See, they don't want you to do that.
No.
But as long as you start a charter school, as long as you have a Thanksgiving turkey pass out, as long as you pass out toys to the little ghetto peasants, you understand, give them bicycles once a year, make you feel important like you've done something. But don't you go back in their home after that now. You wait till 12 months pass by and you do that again. See, I was in their home every weekend. You've met some of the families. And they told you pastor was there every weekend. And I have students that graduated from the nonprofit, do it very well. Families had nothing. They were in the projects. And I was there every weekend with my missionaries teaching. You understand what I'm saying?
But you know the struggle, Brian. You know the struggle.
Because I've been there. But I'm just showing you the difference between a black representative and a black leader. Black leaders go and get their people. Black representatives serve the system. And the system says, this is how you do this. You understand? You pay, you start a little nonprofit, you do this, you do that. You make it look like you're of importance and you're doing something important with your people. And then you isolate the little poor peasants. See, the little poor peasants, they can't write an essay to go to a leadership class. Don't deal with them. Get the ones that's right there in the middle, whose family borderline poor, but they got enough and they put a little education in the child. Deal with that child. Don't forget about the one back in the corner. See, let me tell you something. Like I say, you know why I get frustrated when it comes to that.
I do.
Okay? Because I was the little project boy. You understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
I was the one that should have been a statistic.
Yes, yes.
Okay? So you have to deal with all of us.
Exactly.
Okay, as a representative. Not just the middle working class, as the candidates are saying now. And leaving out everybody else that's on the bottom.
You know, Brian,
I
want to share this right quick, and I'm going to let it go. I remember you telling me the story just a few days ago where you grew up, you all had a home built right there on Janetta Court, which is adjacent right there at Alabama State. But because your home was across Janetta Court was right across the street from Patterson Court, nobody reached out to you. Nobody.
Yes.
From Alabama State.
Yes.
Because you were too close to Patterson Court. But they went all around your neighborhood to go into what they call the middle class neighborhoods.
That's exactly right.
When the best of the best were right there at them on Janetta Court.
Yeah. And see, this is what we have to realize. And I must say this. Black people, we're all in this boat together. I'm going to tell you, the top is falling.
Okay.
The exposure has started when it comes to black representatives that are not honest. And you're seeing it right here in the state of Alabama.
Yes, you are. Yes,
they're going after black representatives. So if they're going to come after you, give them something to come after you for.
Helping your people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Making a difference. You understand?
And then your people will stand up for you and say, wait a minute.
Some may not, but it doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying?
As long as you're doing
you're doing it for your people.
Yes.
See, I don't expect rewards.
But if you do right will follow, Brian.
Yeah, karma will take place. So, but you don't do it because you expect to get something from somebody.
No.
Okay? So, when you look at the best of our leaders, they put their lives on the line not expecting anything
in return.
Okay? What they got was what the universe paid them. You understand? The universe never does what it should do. Okay? If you sow good into the universe will give you that back to you. That's how simple that is. I don't have to look for it from people. You understand? We have got to wake up to the fact that we're all in this boat together. If you are black, regardless of your education, regardless of your work status, regardless if you may be poor, but listen, we're in this thing together. We got to stop forgetting about the little black children that don't have the same opportunities as some of the middle class black or the highly educated black. You understand what I'm saying? And then we have to start mandating. This is how our children are going to act moving forward by me teaching them, by me setting the example. You understand? See, I'm going to tell you how brainwashed black people are. When Cardi B can make a statement that the vice president effed her way to the top, go mama go, and we be okay with something like that? You understand what I'm saying? She's not black, but she's a colored person. So she's in the family. You understand what I'm saying? So but we be okay with Cardi B is not an African. She's Puerto Rican. You understand? Yes. She's in the family. But we shouldn't be okay with stuff like that. See, we shouldn't be okay with Megan Thee Stallion twerking at a DNC convention if she goes and she's invited to sing or twerking and got a skirt coming up. We shouldn't be okay with that as an example for our young girls. We shouldn't be okay with that. Black people should not, and it has nothing to do with, I get so sick of, but shows you again on how we buy into propaganda. We're talking about freedom of expression. That is vulgar. Some things should not be permitted. That's why you have laws. You understand what I'm saying? Some freedom of expression is not good. We should not be okay with our young men wearing their pants below their buttocks and our young boys seeing that and want to emulate that. We shouldn't be okay with that. You understand what I'm saying? That's why our grandboys, I ask them, where's your belt? You don't have a belt, you can't go with Papa.
No, you cannot.
That's how simple, and there's no argument on the fact. You understand what I'm saying? At some point, you have to draw the line in the sand for our kids to see something better. They already got 3 strikes against them. When society sees them, it doesn't matter how good they are, they're going to see them under the lens of being a black girl or a black boy, period. And they're not going to base it off of, because they don't know what house they come from or who their parents are. They're going to base it off of the overall stereotype that's been painted onto black women and black men. But yet somehow we are okay with that. We shouldn't be okay with it. At what point are black people going to say enough is enough, making us a lower class people, making us an inferior people? When we buy into those cultural propagandas and those cultural implementations that's put on us, we are saying we are inferior. We are saying they are supreme. We are saying we're not equal. That's what we're doing. And then we try to justify the culture in all of its lewdness, in all of its vulgarness, in all of its depravity. We try to justify it as black people and say, it's okay. And then they want to tell me, well, you know, like my children tell me, your daddy, you just old school, you just getting old. No, that ain't got nothing to do with being decent as a human being. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to end. I've gone way over. We've
gone way over. Sorry about that, you guys. Brian had drawn me all the way in, and I just totally come off. But it was good. We needed that. Thank you guys again for joining us tonight. Sunday evening, beautiful Sunday evening, beautiful weekend. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Again, see you next weekend, same time, same place, next Sunday. Brian and Jan, and we're out.